So this is time for our last panel discussion, and for me, it is a great pleasure to invite Dr. Marwan to the podium, Professor Vasilis Marinos, the President of the International Association of Engineering Geology, Mr. Keith Ryan from Bauer, and I hope this is the last panel discussion. We try to keep, how can I say, open for any discussion or interaction from your side. But as you realize, we have, I need to find the pointer. Yes, here we are. So the topic of our panel discussion is the one which you see on the screen. Building the cities beneath our cities, the future of geotechnical urbanism in MENA, in the Middle East area. The social and economical impacts versus the design and the construction challenges. Can you please be a little bit quiet, or if you want to continue here, or just, please, can you keep a little bit quiet? I would like to start, and then Dr. Marwan will take over from his perspective, and Professor Vasilis Marinos from his perspective, and Keith also. We are all of us concerned about the impact of the underground developments because of the need to expand our cities. And I would like to share with you some typical urban problems and underground solutions. And from my side, I'm not coming straight from the area. I was in the area some years ago, but I'm following closely what is happening here. And I would like also to share some information, not real information, but project titles, which makes me feel that this area clearly goes to the direction of urbanization, but with the need to develop the city under the ground. As Dr. Marwan said to me before, an underground city and city underground the existing surface city. The problems we're facing now, the list of problems: crowding and lack of space, traffic congestion, aging infrastructure and distribution of resources, environmental conditions such as noise and air pollution, aesthetic qualities and image of urban environment quality, safety, security and protection against natural disasters, sewage conveyance and treatment, synergy effect of all the above. So all these things are problems which all our cities, Dubai I think also, is facing, and all of us, we're trying to find solutions, proper solutions. And there are, and you see here, these solutions are under design, they are constructed, they are under construction. First of all, rail and road tunnels, okay? Drinking water and distribution systems, stormwater relief systems, sewage tunnels, gas storage and oil deposits. I have worked in Singapore for some years. I share with you the experience of Singapore Yurong's rock cavern, which is used for storage of 9 million barrels. Some future concepts exist. Also here in Dubai, I've seen a lot of publication about new concepts of traffic, about, for instance, the Dubai Loop. But I've shared with you the concept of cargo cab, a safe and economical way to carry goods quickly and on time in congested urban areas by underground transportation pipelines. Solutions: underground cultural and amusements facilities. For instance, the underground city of Monorail, if somebody has the chance to go and visit, you will find it. Solutions which we have underground parking and underground housing. Why I put underground housing? I was surprised when I went to Singapore and I worked there for 2 years, and I was participating in the first conference, similar like this one, with emphasis on geotechnics and tunneling. And I met one gentleman, Greek, I'm Greek. He started speaking to me in Greek about, okay, how are you, what are you doing here? I said, what is your profession, my friend? He said to me, I'm a psychologist. I said, what are you doing here in this conference? We are geotechnical engineers and tunnel engineers. And listen to what this gentleman said to me. He was participating in a huge I would say, project funded by the Singaporean government, which included engineers, psychologists, press media experts, guys working with advertisement. I said, what is the issue of your project? He said, the Singaporean government wants to start preparing the public for the idea of having houses underground. We have not too much space now. Singapore is a small country, as you know, is a city country. And he said to me that the government start thinking to advertise the idea and push the people to be more familiar with living underground. Underground solutions related now to Dubai urban expansion. What I know and what I heard, you know more than me. I've seen new underground metro lines. Blue line is under construction. Gold line is in front. I've seen also some rail connection between the two airports, another big project. Stormwater tunnel, yes, that exists. It's been constructed already. It's been under operation. Deep sewage tunnels, huge projects. I had the chance to work with Parsons some time ago in the first preliminary design of this project. Now I know that Dubai municipality is progressing and they're making a lot of effort to appoint the contractors. Huge development. And Dubai Loop. The importance of not jeopardizing the asset safety due to the expansion of the underground projects in the urban environment. So that is important. We're building, but we must not put in danger the existing assets. So the regulations framework is very important, and technically sound solutions are very important. So I would like to ask, because Dr. Marwan is one of the very important figures in our society, and because of his position in Dubai Authority, he can give us a little bit of his perspective about how to regulate this urbanism expansion by using also, by having in mind that underground is one of possible solutions. Please, Dr. Marwan.
Thank you, Elias, for the introduction. And all the time, you know, regarding the geotechnical urbanization or the importance of the geotechnical engineering in urban planning. All the time, you know, I keep saying the first thing you should do with the geotechnical investigation before you plan your city. We have lack of information related to the geotechnical investigation before planning our cities. I will give 2 or 3 examples, which is very important. First one is related to Dubai, for example. Now we know our soil type, we have high water table, we have all these canals, and at the end we end to design our buildings with 7 basements. And in that we are closing 2 or 3 basements without operations. That's the reason, because we are not studying our properties and our soil properties and our problems related to the groundwater table. We could replace that by having 7 podiums instead of having 7 basements, which is totally will change. I know, Keith, you will not like it because no work for you as a contractor, but in any case, it is very important to make all these parkings our operations. The second thing, example from Abu Dhabi, I will give it, for example, from Khalifa City. Khalifa City, you build the compound wall of the villa under the piles, which is unbelievable way of building. A small villa, single story, 2 stories, you have to build in foundation and piles. That because we did not do a proper study for our geotechnical parameters and ended up increasing the cost of our buildings in the first case and our villas in the second case related to that. The third one also related to Abu Dhabi, Dr. Hisham, he worked a lot with that, related to, we had a lot of cavities in Khalifa City B, or what you call it, Shakhbout now, and it ended also with all these problems, instead of, for example, trying to have a different way, different type of foundation and different type of buildings. Now, and I will take it to other direction as well, which also we had these problems here in Dubai, increasing of the groundwater table. And this is why, because our master planner, he liked the greens, he make it very golf course everywhere, he make a lot of greenery in the city, ended by increasing the water table, impacting our infrastructure, impacting our foundation, and everybody knows here, all geotechnical engineers, with presence of water table, your bearing capacity will go to half, almost. It depends on this, but if it's submerged, you will go for 0.5. So we had many cases here in Dubai, which we have it, which we, at the end, we moved to dry landscape to reduce the infiltration of the landscape and filtration of this water to the groundwater table and increase the, what we call it, the groundwater table. All these things, in my opinion, the urbanization or geotechnical urbanization or geotechnical engineering information, which is very important and essential before doing the urban planning of the city, is very important from my point of view, and it is responsibility of the regulatory bodies and all this one to take it in their consideration, as well as the consultant, in my opinion, before doing the architecture team or urban planning team, before starting anything, they should, first of all, even though if they don't want to conduct a geotechnical investigation report, they can go for our database, and from there they can go on in planning our cities. So I will give the chance for you.
So that's very, very important. So GIRs, geotechnical interpretation reports, geotechnical investigation, very important. You cannot continue by blindly to start building or making designs in areas which we need, first of all, to have a very technical, good knowledge of what's happening underground. Otherwise, we are going blindly to make solutions which most probably will give us a lot of problems at a later stage. Very important from this approach. I think Dubai needs, and all of us needs to follow exactly what Dr. Maran tried to explain. Technical solutions can be also accepted, or if you like, can be really be good. They have practical value, and only in the case that we are in a position to justify them through the knowledge of the technical knowledge, I mean, of geotechnical conditions. So thank you very much for that approach.
If I can just add, though, to the point, it's a flip side on what Dr. Marwan was saying, and as we saw in the last presentation from Omar, the 6 basements, and clients who own and are developing this land, obviously they don't wish to have car parks above ground level because there's a value or a loss of revenue from that, so that's one of the driving factors in that. But I think as has been echoed in this conference and earlier, just the collaboration, the early involvement from all of us in the industry, practitioners, that we can help clients to, obviously de-risk some of these risk items, but also to meet their requirements. Again, the early involvement is key in all of this, so that we can all collaborate on a viable solution.
So Keith, can you please elaborate a little bit, because from your side, you are a contractor, but at the same time, your company is dealing mainly with cut and cover structures, open cut excavations, which I've seen you have a lot of experience, and please share with us some ideas about the retaining structures and the methodologies you have in your mind after you're working on this for so many years. Yeah.
Sure. So obviously we're talking about urbanized areas, and what we see here, and you can see from the last presentation from Omar, as I say again, clients, obviously there's value to land, and developing that land to the maximum potential for their returns is very important, and us all in this field, we are trying to meet those requirements in terms of the project that's under discussion. However, what we see in terms of infrastructure and deep basements for tall towers, for example, obviously the space is becoming more and more limited at ground level for infrastructure, and the whole subterranean space is there to be utilized. So the needs are going underground in terms of infrastructure. You just mentioned the tunneling as well, and the projects that are going on here in the region. But typically what we're starting to see now is, and we have developed a lot more schemes and top-down method of construction where we're utilizing the shoring walls and the permanent structure, so it adds efficiency. I know there was a presentation yesterday on this as well. So it's just, yeah, these slides are just prompting that, I suppose, versus the traditional open pit or let's say bottom-up type of construction. So that's the type of value that we're trying to bring to the market, and you're seeing a lot more of that. And obviously with the interface with underground tunnels, infrastructure, utility corridors, that's becoming more and more prominent in solutions that we're seeing. So deep foundations, okay, we just had a Barrette project there, which is very interesting. Again, we're seeing a lot more of that in the market to manage this issue we're talking about in this panel discussion. Yeah, you can see here, just as an example, on the left we have traditional open pit with struts on it. Of course, struts can be utilized, but it adds complexities and program constraints, and not favorable for clients, to be honest, whereas on the right, very unique project we did here in Dubai, where it's essentially top-down method using barrettes and plunge columns to essentially skip the basement and simultaneously construct the superstructure while the basement is being constructed as well. So it takes the basement off the critical path in the program. And you can see on the right, we were actually 14 weeks, we had the main contractor on site while we were still doing barrette foundations on that particular project. Yeah, it's just another example of the concept. Thank you, Elias. And again, it's about efficiency. So we mentioned the infrastructures works and projects. Again, we see some designs and where value can be added. Obviously, you know, the circular shape in what we're proposing here, it's not true circular, there's a cross wall, but using a hoop compression stress obviously is what we're trying to lean to. We've worked on some previous metros here where we've had to change some of the annex structures again to utilize, I suppose, the inherent nature of a circular shape, guys, yeah?
Professor Marinos, I know that in your society, the International Association of Engineering Geology, you are putting a lot of effort for the elaboration of the engineering geological models. And there is some guidelines which the IAG has already prepared. I know there are general guidelines for geological models, but can you please share with us what is about, what is the idea behind, and what is the scope of all the guidelines? This is Commission 25 guidelines.
So as engineering geologists, our primary role working with geotechnical engineers is providing some basic conceptual answers to how is the ground, how the ground works, and which can be the critical, let's say, parameters for following the design. So one of our main roles as engineering geologists is to compile what we say engineering geological models. So you see that I highlight engineering geological models, not just geological models. So the first aspect is that we need to put this geological model in the scale of the project first, then translate all the geological information to engineering terms so we can communicate with the geotechnical engineer that has the main analysis to do and dimensioning to do. So here in these guidelines that we have compiled in many languages, so we have translated in many languages, not only in English, and it is free in our web base. We have worked on step by step how we identify the main role of our profession as practitioners to these engineering projects. In tunneling, you understand that this is this become more relevant, let's say, than some other projects, because here we have this correlation with many other projects, deep foundation, many underground space that is being utilized. So we really need to provide these guidelines. So from the conceptual point of view, first of all, we identify not just the geology, but the ground types. So in preliminary phase, let's say, fault zones, cavities, any swelling materials, anything that has to do with gas emissions, So let's say hazards, but mainly we identify towards this specific project the hazards, the main issues that the geotechnical engineer will face. So first is to identify the ground types, but also to identify the hazards, the risks related to that. So then you can prioritize the ground investigation. You can focus your ground investigation trying to answer these questions. So this is very, very important for the geotechnical engineer from the first stages, based on the conceptual model, engineering geological model. And of course, then to try to reduce the uncertainties behind that. So then, after you have this ground investigation feedback, let's call them in the final design a GIR, then you can optimize this engineering geological model. So you can start the analysis and dimensioning in many exported sections that you can have from this model. And we call it model because in our minds, this should be a 3D model. And in sometimes maybe it can be a 4D model due to the time. So then, when we have also encountered and observations based on monitoring, so this model helps you also when you can locate what kind of instrumentation, how often, what you encounter, you expect to encounter. Also the monitoring is prioritized. So then the conceptual model can become observational model, so it can be more realistic. And of course, now that we have the digital twins and the new technologies, all these can be constantly updated, also during construction. So everybody, the owner, the designer, the contractor, can be all based on the same, this engineering geological model. So all these guidelines are targeted to our practitioners. So in our role in an international association, we try to train them. So we do numerous of workshops all over the world, just to offer this training, not only publishing, but also training our practitioners in order to perform this kind of guidelines in reality for the projects themselves. So this is one of our flagships, let's say, of works that we have done.
Something which I would like to start discussing a little bit with the panels, but I've tried to give some first ideas, is about the safety and the security of underground projects. I think the fire risk is being solved more or less when we design, when we make the designs of the underground structure. We have a lot of code requirements and methodologies how to accommodate the fire risk in our design. So most of you who have made or have you involved in tunnel designs, especially the final linings, you know more or less the design codes and how to treat this issue. I don't want to go to more details. Something which is very important is if the tunnels as underground structures are more safe under earthquake conditions comparing to at-grade or elevated structures. Something which I put in front of you is a table which shows earthquakes, the date, the magnitude, and the impact which they had. So, Mexico City, 1985, huge magnitude, 8.1 Richter scale. No damage. You can imagine the liquefaction issue which we had in Mexico City because of that earthquake. It was a real shock for the engineering community. I know personally how Gazetas, George Gazetas, one of the main personalities in soil dynamics, explained to me how the observations because of these liquefactions gave him a lot of new ideas on how to evaluate the risks and how to control the design considering liquefaction. Loma Prieste earthquake, 1989, 6.9 Richters. No damage to tunnels. Northbridge, 1994, 6.8, no damage. Kobe, I think you know the Kobe earthquake in Japan. 7.2, 1995. No damage to tunnels, minor ones. Taipei, huge earthquake, 6.8 Richter scale, no damage. Chile, 2010, 8.8, huge earthquake. Running the next day, some damages in the entrance of the stations. So it seems it's like a magic that the tunnels are not affected by the earthquake. Do you think that it's something that is we have a hole inside the ground is shaking? There are plenty of explanations why the tunnels considered more safe than other structures, especially when we have earthquake excitations. That is a slide which I would like not to spend more time, but just to show you that in my previous designs, one of my previous designs, in one of the most highly seismic regions of my country in Greece, we made an analysis, a full seismic analysis for the lining by considering the full-time history. And by this, I don't want to focus on the details of what I'm showing, but it seems that by analyzing it with a full-time history analysis, yes, we managed to design a concrete final lining without significant problems. That particular final lining you see here is plain without reinforcement. Now, the decision about whether to solve urban problems with underground solution is a complex one. Look now what we have to consider. Social aspects concerning people and their preferences, safety and security issues, aesthetic needs, ecological impacts, legal issues, economic and cost considerations, technical related to the possible construction techniques and risks involved, something which Keith has already tried to explain. Look now, 2 photographs. I will ask also the panelists to say their views about that. But what do you think this photograph shows? Can you imagine? I can explain to you. This is one of the metro stations in Saloniki, in Thessaloniki city. Thessaloniki is the 2nd largest city of my country. You know, Greece, most probably Greece and Rome, sorry, Athens, Thessaloniki, and Rome are the cities which they have a lot of history underground. So by digging for the metro station, we found amazing ancientness which, because of that excavation, because of these constructions, we managed to find them, and now they're exposed to the public. This is cultural heritage of Greece. Look at this, and how we manage, not personally myself, but the guys that were involved in the design of this metro station, how they managed to combine the ancient city with the most modern rail project which we have, the metro of the city. For me, this is so valuable, at least as a Greek, I'm very proud of that because this is my history, this is my ancient history, and we managed, by digging underground, not to create problems, but first of all, to show to everybody how everything exists, safe, and this is something very important. So despite the cost and all these difficulties to construct something underground, look at what you can find at the end of the day. And this is something which I know it happens in Rome, I know it happens in other cities, but it happened also in my country, both in Athens and in Salonika. So please feel free to say what you think about the importance of underground concerning issues related to the social aspects and so on. So please feel free to say something from your side. You want to say something?
Just to add about the 2 photos, I have to say that our young engineers, engineers from all over the country just traveled to this city to visit this underground station. It is something honorable for the engineering community to see how all this ancient city was unrevealed, and trying to build a station within that was enormous, very, very difficult for many people that were involved in this project. So this is I would say not only something very valuable, is a great honor for somebody that is living to work on that and to see and to make it visible. And just to go now to shift to the wider, what you said, that a lot of people, we know that the future, a lot of our future is in underground space. We know that, definitely. So a lot of people will move to smarter cities, safer cities, that they are linked with underground works. So these will, in the life cycle of this project, will give a great value in that, following this path. So definitely our tunnels can be, at the end of the day, a great value in relation to their first cost, let's say, appraisal. So this is something, what you showed in the slide, all these issues that we need to incorporate, we need to evaluate, and we need to think when we are thinking about the cost of these projects. At the end of the day, the great value they are giving to our lives, and of course to the community, and to the business, and to the market, and to the tourism. So all of these really give a great value.
By saying so, Professor Marinos, you gave me the good excuse to go to the real cost of the underground solutions, how this must be assessed. And of course, there is increased construction cost. The working group number 13 of ITA says that for the rail metro system, the underground costs 4.5 more times than the upgrade and 2.25 higher than the elevated construction. So the cost is something that somebody has to think, the governments have to think. But look now, all the benefits. And please feel free to comment on the benefits, because I think that also, I would like also from your side your ideas on that after we finish with our panelists, because we have to give from this conference some message from our side to you, and then you convey the message also to your clients and to your colleagues about urban development by employing underground structures, or like tunnels or cut and cover or whatever we consider as underground, but mainly these are the main underground structures we face now, tunnels and some cut and cover structures.
I will go back, just a small thing about the risk. No, you can keep it. I will come back to this one. Yeah. So I want to highlight something important about the geohazard, which is very important with respect to what you explained previously. The next one. The safety of those ones. So you spoke about seismic, which is really very important things, and as well as the flooding should be also controlled, and a very important aspect we should consider it. Now, going back again to maximizing the benefits of urbanizing underground or the geotechnical urbanization, in my opinion, also still we have a lot of lost on that. I never seen a proper connections, for example, between the basement and the buildings and the metros, which could help and could make accessibility. I think Dr. Ahmed Gharib, he want to comment on that. For sure, we'll give you the mic to speak. He's from the RTA. Definitely, he will add. Those type of connections between creating a city below the city is very important. Now, if you come to Dubai and specifically speaking about all this connection, you found it is quite very limited. Personally, I don't know why. As I mentioned before, if you can give the chance to Dr. Ahmed Gharib to speak about it. This will help for sure to save a lot of time, for sure, for the people to move, even moving between the building, either walking or using the cars, and very important things. Connecting the metro stations or underground metro stations directly with the basement, with the buildings, as well as if it is above the ground in some places, you could see it's connected, like in Dubai Mall and also. So I believe you have to deal with the underground as above the ground. And you should allow the accessibility and the movement and the circulation between all the buildings and the transportation facilities in a proper way to maximize the benefit of it. Yeah.
Dr. Ahmed, I mean, we can start having this interaction if somebody from the audience wants to make some real point. Dr. Ahmed, happy to see you again. If you want to come, you have okay, please.
Thank you for, actually this topic is very interesting, okay? And there is, before Dr. Maran referred to me, just I have one point related to the first question of the regulation, okay? Regulating this, it has to be, as all of us know, that it has to be through the Dubai Executive Council. And I will give one example, good example, okay? When metro service started, there is a railway regulation law have been issued, and it's updated now. It's law number 1 2017. It has a good I can say good advance in regulating the safety of the existing metro. It identifies railway protection zone for metro tunnels and metro bridges, okay? And we continuously develop this and issue our guidelines for Railway Protection Code of Practice based on the requirements of this law. Regarding the integration with the existing metro station, the law itself allow this type of integrations, and it encourage all the development all along the city of Dubai to integrate with metro. Currently we have like 18 connection. Most of them was overground station, like Dr. Marwan said, one example now, Dubai Mall. This year there is a connection with Dubai Diwa headquarter. Okay, it's overground station with Jeddah Fetr station. And coming Burjuman Mall, there will be a connection. It's under construction. Luasla Tower with the other side of the Burj Khalifa station. So the law itself in Dubai, it's already encouraged the developer to connect with metro station. When we come to the underground structures, Doctor, we have existing project. It's already constructed and operated, where we build G+8 tower on top of one of the metro stations in Dubai, okay, which is Gold Souk metro station. The project was very, very challenging, okay, because we have to keep the station fully operated. We struggle a lot to deliver the project, and we implement a very, very good exercise for monitoring systems and real-time monitoring in coordination with the contractor. And it was very, very successful project without any customer complaints. And I believe, yes, this has to be encouraged. And by the way, there is a transit-oriented development manual. I think Dubai municipality will issue very soon, which also will add more requirements for the area nearby metro station or bus stations. Maybe it will be applicable also, Doctor, to authority like DDA and Tarakhis. So I believe, yes, we have to keep the regulation in mind when we are planning for the underground city as the main topic of this session. Thank you.
Question, Dr. Ahmed, regarding the high-speed train and how it will be integrated with the metro, and what is the plan with respect to that? If any future plans with respect to that, the high-speed train, because also 70 meter, as we hear, it will be under the ground and on.
Integration is possible. However, it's still under study. But at least we have like many stations from high speed or even from the passenger line or freight line, okay, with the existing metro station. There is connections. There's one connection now. It's under construction with the Jumeirah Gulf State Metro Station, with Hadrail Passenger Station under construction right now. So I think, yeah, there is a lot of chances to have all integrated, because the idea is to have all mode of transportation in the same area, okay, which is helping either in the city or intercities, okay, in order to ease the transportation for all. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your involvement, interaction. Is there any other, before we close, is there any other one who wants to say some point, wants to make some point? So it seems we are closing.
We have in closing remarks some.
We have something. You
okay.
Want something to.
Just for the cost.
Okay.
I want to make one remark for the cost. It's obvious. We know it. The tunnelers know about that, but I need to highlight it when we are talking about the cost. That our codes are improved constantly. Our computational tools are doing enormous steps. We have many experts experienced in that on our projects, many brilliant new engineers. We have powerful new technologies. But then we need to, when we are talking about the cost, that if we don't have the proper, I have to go back to my principle, the proper understanding of the geological model and what we're expecting, then we can be either conservative, so high cost, or we may face delays or failures, again high cost. So at the end, if we bypass this standard procedure that we highlight again and again and again in our conferences, we do the cycles, we construct, we see the failures, we learn, we show it to our students, to our new engineers, and then we're back on the same page many times, following fast tracks, the delays, the pressure of the time related with our projects is many times the nature of these issues. The time constraints on that, about the ground investigation and how we want to proceed the project fast, the design parallel with the construction. So this has not, definitely we will follow that, but on the same time we cannot do any sales on the ground investigation because it doesn't cost at the end in relation to what you risk. This is what I wanted to make this point about the cost, not forget about this very basic thing that we know.
Thank you very much. So I will close with that you see on the screen. It comes from Lord Norman Foster, the British architect. Population growth and the advent of megacities are increasing the pressure on sensitive areas. The underground has enormous potential for realizing spatial benefits. You could say that one of the greatest challenges facing mankind is to achieve higher density while at the same time improving urban existence. So with this, I would like to close the panel. First of all, I would like to thank all the panelists, Dr. Marwan, Professor Marinos Keith also. I would like to thank all of you for your presence today, and of course for your patience to stay until 5 o'clock. Unfortunately, we managed to overcome the time for 2 hours, but for you, for me, it was a real pleasure and joy, and how can I say, it was a real privilege to join this conference with all of you these 2 days. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.